All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. It's been a minute, I think, 2 or 3 weeks since we've been up here. The weather gets in the way of a lot of things, doesn't it, Keith? There's Keith Morehouse there, of
Hi.
course,
Post
WSAZ Sports Director. A lot to catch up on. I guess we can start with Marshall Women's Hoops. They sit currently, as we record this, 18-6 overall, 9-3 in Sun Belt play. That's good enough for them to just be in fourth place, only a game and a half back as we kind of enter the last 30 days or so of the regular season. I know that there are some games, I think, scheduled maybe at the very beginning of March, but really this is the last month of the season. I think if you told a lot of Marshall fans before the season, hey, this team would be in fourth place and within striking distance of a regular season conference championship with 7 games to go, you'd probably take that, wouldn't you? Because there wasn't a whole lot of hype and hoopla about this team. They really exceeded some expectations.
Well, they did, and a lot of credit goes to Julie Folks for bringing in players and some elements of that team they didn't have a year ago. In her second year, she knew what she wanted and went out and got Tamaya Lewis-Utsi, who's been fantastic. You saw there she had 24 points against Louisiana when the Herd came back after that loss to Troy. But just some people filling in some gaps. And, you never want to say what if, but when they lost that freshman, Olivia Olson, who's been a star for them, she oozes talent, and they lost her for the year with a knee injury. So who knows what would have happened? But it's key, Joseph, for them to be in the top 4, as we saw last year in Pensacola. That setup down there, it lets everybody in, which I kind of like it. I think it rewards what you do in the regular season, and it lets everybody go to the tournament. So you're not leaving teams home. And then if you feel froggy, like Marshall last year won 5 straight nights, right? It's nearly impossible to do that for 7 straight games, but it gives you the opportunity. So if you're in that top 4, you get a kind of a pass into the quarters, and you start from there. So your legs are better, and it puts you in a better situation. So there is a huge incentive in the regular season to be in that top 4.
And Coach Falks mentioned the conference tournament after the Louisiana game on Saturday, and correct me if you know that I'm wrong. I can't remember a time during the regular season up to this point that she had really mentioned the postseason yet.
Yeah.
And so now she basically said, look, we got 7 games to go. We're trying to put ourselves in the best position possible for when we go down south for that conference tournament.
Well, when you talk with Payton Ilderton and Meredith Mayer up here, a couple of weeks ago, I remember Payton vividly and markedly saying, hey, that you can't do that. I mean, it just takes it out of your legs, and you want to play and you want to do the things you normally can, but basketball's a tough sport, and you're playing that at the Pensacola Base Center for 5 straight games. I mean, the run will end at some point. If somebody can go in there and win 7 games, that'd be a story in itself. But they understood what happened last year, and so do all you can to prevent that from again happening, where you've got to play so many games back to back to back to back to back. So they took care of their business against Louisiana. And Louisiana had only had 2 wins this year. They're struggling, but Marshall kind of started shooting them out of it there in the third quarter.
They lit it up from beyond the arc there in the first half.
Oh, yeah. They just started firing threes, and 9 3-pointers between Ilderton and Mayer in the first half, 4 players in double figures. A good statement game as they hit the road for 2. And, South Alabama's record 9-12, 2-9. They're not great, but, going on the road, you got to get out of here in the snow and head down to Mobile, which is a nice place. But then they go back to the snow, conceivably, to when they go to Mount Pleasant, take on Central Michigan. So it's a big week. You want to make sure that conference game and then try to get that MAC Sun Belt Challenge game as well.
Yeah, that Louisiana game, that's one that you're supposed to win, and they did. But coming off of the loss to Troy and the way in which they lost, where you lead really for 99% of the game, and, their largest deficit was 3, and it happened to be when we had 4 zeros on the clock at the end of the game. To pick yourself back up off the mat and not let that carry into Saturday, I thought was huge for this group.
Yeah, and that's usually happens with a senior-laden group, and they've got a lot of seniors. But that's, as you mentioned, you can't let that game beat you twice. And even though Louisiana had struggled, they had to get a bounce back. And that's one you just can't take away. You're up by 20, you got to win that game. Troy did a great job of speeding Marshall up, getting them off their spots, disrupting the tempo. And, whenever a team as good as Troy, as we watched some of the highlights from earlier this week, starts making a run, and then, the momentum shifts. Basketball's a game of runs. Either you withstand them or the other team gets back in it, and that's what the Trojans did. Kudos to them. That was a huge rebound put back there that you're watching, and they hit some big threes down the stretch.
This Marshall team, I feel like, has lived many different lives throughout the course of this season. They've riding high on a win streak, the lows of, I mean, you think about their second game against JMU where they couldn't throw it into the ocean. I mean, stuff like that. But then a heartbreaking loss to Troy. They've really seen it all. I feel like it is a pretty battle-tested group.
I had a game where they held Coastal without a point in one of the quarters.
Yeah, I mean they've seen the highest of mountaintops and the lowest of valleys. I feel like.
Well, and I think that's good because there won't be a situation they haven't seen. And when you get locked in on tournament time, then you know what it's about. It's a 4-game season or whatever it ends up being, depending upon your seed. But yeah, that gets you. These players are old enough; they've been around enough situations, and some of the players, of course, Meredith and Payton were there when they won the Sun Belt down there and went to the NCAA tournament and played Virginia Tech. So all those memories and experiences you save and you keep and you use them come tournament time.
Correct me if I'm wrong, did they not get a little dose of what the conference tournament could be like about 2 weeks ago with the snow? I think they played 2 games within a 24-hour time frame.
They did, and won them both. They had to go from Hattiesburg to
it was almost like
Monroe,
as soon as they land, you're back out there for shoot-around, and here we go again, girls.
Yeah, that's hard to do at home, and it's doubly hard to do on the road. You're taking I think they took a 200-mile bus ride, 260, from Hattiesburg to Monroe, Louisiana, and what you do there is you kind of go with the flow, right? You're not chartering a plane, and everything about your trip has been disrupted. So to go down there and pick up a couple of wins shows some resolve and some resilience, and that's exactly what you need to try to win a conference championship.
A little MAC Sunbelt challenge for them this weekend, I guess for all the teams in these leagues. I think it'll be fun to see an old MAC foe in Central Michigan there, won't it?
Yeah, CMU. I've been in that arena, done some games up there way back in the day. They're 13-7, 7-3 in the MAC, so that'll be a good test. And I like these whatever conference challenge it is, whether it's Big 12, SEC, ACC, Sun Belt, MAC. It gives you a chance to get out of conference play for one game. They're important games, but they're not as important as conference games. Gives you a chance to see a team you haven't seen, maybe a style you haven't seen, and then you right the ship and you get ready for the stretch run into March.
Want to move on to the men?
Yeah.
Plenty to talk about there. An enormous one on Saturday. We'll get to that in a bit, but just to catch people up to speed as for what happened last week, they split a little bit of a road trip, got beat by Texas State early in the week, finished on a high note, winning at Arkansas State with really some guys that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be the guys that carried you to victory. They had almost 50 points off the bench, and Wilson Dubinsky really carried the load for a team that needed somebody to do it for them that day.
Yeah, that was a Marshall career high for Dubinsky. 23 points, had six 3-pointers. He also had 8 rebounds. He's a big physical guard, and it was a game, Joseph, where Jalen Spear did not score. He's Marshall's leading scorer, most reliable scorer, the quarterback of the team, but he helped in other ways. He had 7 assists, had I think 8 rebounds, and Coach Jackson pointed that out this week. He said, when you have a game like that where Spear, didn't have his shot, didn't have his offensive game, Wyatt Fricks was in foul trouble. I think he had 8, so he was kind of ineffective coming in and out at different times. So Dubinsky and Shamari Hugie come in and get 40. I mean, those guys aren't guys that have been carrying the load for you. But this time of the year, I think Dubinsky certainly, and Hugie probably too, earned themselves some playing time. If Coach Jackson's going to shrink that bench coming into the conference tournament, those 2 guys have to be guys that they're going to rely on because they showed up in a game that you could have easily lost that one and gone down 2 on the road because they got it all the way in that Texas State game, got it all the way, led the game by a point, and I thought came down after that lead and took 2 or 3 really bad possessions. Didn't have to launch threes, and they did that. And I think that ultimately kind of was their undoing at Texas State. But then, came back against Arkansas State was down, and I thought they did a nice job of righting the ship themselves.
I thought Dubinsky said it perfectly, really, in the post-game press conference, just about how all the teams in this league know who Jalen Spear is.
Yep.
They know who Wyatt Fricks is. And so those guys are going to command attention out on the floor, which means you're going to see some opportunities. If you can knock down some shots, all of a sudden they have to respect you later in the year. It'll open things up for everybody if you can, sprinkle a 20-point game in there here and there.
And I think that credit goes to Corny Jackson. He talks about everybody on that team can shoot it, as we're watching the highlights of it right now. there's Dubinsky there, and I thought Van Komen played really strong down the stretch. Fricks gets a basket there, but by telling these guys, if you have an open shot and it's a good three, take it. So you don't come in there apprehensively thinking, if I miss a shot, he's going to take me back out. So when Dubinsky realized he had the hot hand, and his players realized it, his teammates, hey, get him the rock. The guy's on fire, and they couldn't. They had no answer for him in that game. And so if it has to be somebody else to step up, and Coach Jackson said in his news conference, he said, we took 2 clips of the bench when those guys were scoring, and they were going nuts. In other words, maybe it's not me, it's not my night. For Jalen Spear, it's not his night, but they all enjoy the other players' successes, and ultimately that's what shows that you're a team down the stretch, which I think that will help them as they get ready for Pensacola.
That's why they call it a spark off the bench, man. Yeah. You see a guy lighting it up that you've seen it in practice plenty of times, but never in game.
Remember Vinny the Microwave Johnson used to come in. I mean, he couldn't miss.
You can't help but be excited for those guys, and I'm sure that ignited them and kind of propelled them to hang on to that thing at Arkansas State.
Yeah.
So. And they find themselves, the guys do, really in the same spot that the women are, 14-8, 6-4 in conference play, 4th in the league, a game and a half back with, I think they have 9 games left to play. I could be wrong on that. By the time this thing airs, it'll be less anyway. But, I mean, they're within striking distance, and the Sun Belt's a tough league, so I like where they're at, too.
Yeah, they have a big week, that by the time this airs, the Southern Miss game will have already been completed, but the Southern Miss coming up from Hattiesburg, that's a win. I think, Marshall, you got to hold serve at home. It's easy to say, but you got to go out and do it. And then getting everybody fired up for that big Red Hawk invasion on Saturday.
The Fighting Wally Zerbiak.
My gosh, depending on what they do against Buffalo on Tuesday, they could come in here unbeaten. Obviously, they're going to be in the top 25 either way.
They were 24th last week, I believe, so I don't know if they're
23rd.
23rd now? Okay.
So I think Marshall's basketball folks are still trying to figure out the last time they hosted a team in the top 25 at the Henderson Center. Corny Jackson remembers playing Middle Tennessee in 17, I think, at Middle. That's when they were ranked. But coming into here, and doubly important, if they come in here undefeated, I mean, that place is going to be fun. It's going to be an atmosphere that they haven't had all season long.
I was having this similar conversation with our good buddy Alex Jackson that used to work here, right? And he threw out maybe Memphis.
I was thinking of that when I was talking to somebody in the press room yesterday or Monday actually. And I thought, man, I remember, when Derrick Rose and those guys came in here, it was a show. I mean, Calipari was coaching them then. Derrick Rose
Would they have been ranked in the top 25 at the time that they were here?
Absolutely they were.
I remember them being nationally ranked, and they were legit.
That was the year they got deep into the tournament and missed a couple of big free throws. But that team was, the class of Conference USA. So it may be goes back that far. I'm going to have to check.
Been like 07 or 8?
Yeah, it would have been right there in the aughts
like
when they were in Conference USA.
So I think I can remember the year before Derrick Rose played at Memphis. I think Ohio State ran into them in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
And that was the year of Conley and Greg Oden.
Oh, yeah.
But Derrick Rose wasn't on that team. So it was probably the next year, which would have been, fall 07, winter 08, something like that. But who knows?
Oh, they had such talent. It looked like an NBA team. I was on the floor before they come out there. It was like it was crazy. So and that's why you do this. I mean, that's even Coach Jackson said that in this news conference because I want the place packed. He goes, I want Marshall basketball on display. I remember Coach Calipari after that game, who obviously can hold a news conference like nobody else.
Yeah.
And we were just, paying rapt attention to everything he said. And he said, what an atmosphere. And Memphis went on to beat Marshall pretty handily. But he said, what an atmosphere. But he goes, you guys need to be here every night. Not to come and see Memphis, but to come and see Marshall. And, he was just like doing his stick. Man. It was great. It was great. And I had a chance during that week to talk to him for a little bit in the stands. He was here with Coach Bob Markham, K.O. Markham, Marshall's former athletics director. But, he just had that news conference and said, don't do it just because Memphis is in town. Come on out and watch the herd. So he had some great lessons. And it'll be a fun atmosphere. Miami, incredible story this year. I don't care what league you're in. If you're undefeated, going into places, as you know, going into arenas in the wintertime is tough, whether you're in Buffalo or Athens or Mount Pleasant or Kalamazoo or Muncie. Those aren't easy games to win on the road. So, man, kudos to them for what they've done. And it'd be fun if they're 23-0 coming in there on Saturday.
Yeah, I believe they play Buffalo Tuesday night. And so we'll see. Buffalo hasn't been great, but that is a road trip. They're on the road this week, Miami is. So they're at Buffalo, and then they're coming here to Huntington. So We will see. I know
And-
that
and one
showed
other
Wally
thing-
Zerbiak on TV the other day, and he
He's
was
going
flapping
nuts.
his wings, man.
Oh man, I did plenty of games with Wally Zerbiak playing. He was a monster, and Mike Emswinger, as I remember him. And think about this: if Miami continues to win, and let's say they don't fall, and maybe they go to the conference tournament semis and go in there 28-1 or 2, the MAC could easily get 2 bids if they don't win that tournament. Now, if they fall 2 or 3 or 4 times, it's going to be tough, but. It's an opportunity for the MAC to showcase itself too for what Miami's doing.
Yeah. Have you gotten a chance to watch a lot of Miami basketball?
Just a little bit this year. I've seen them. They're good.
They've won some close games as of late. It hasn't been easy for them.
No,
they find ways.
They went over 100 to beat UMass in overtime recently. They did the same thing last week. You think they're down. They seem to have a lot of character to come back. And I don't. In their league, and I'll have to look at who they played on the road, but they probably won't see an atmosphere like they'll see here Saturday. Yeah. And we'll see if that has any effect on them. But that'll just be a fun game to watch.
I know they've yet to play OU once, and they still have to play them twice.
Right.
They get them in Oxford first, and it's the last game of the regular season at the Combo.
Yeah, and you know how the Ohio-Miami rivalry is. So Coach Bowles will have those guys fired up, especially when they go to Athens. So there's no guarantee they're going to run this thing out, but it's been a great story for sure.
Maybe if Marshall beats them, that'll take a little tension
Maybe
off the water for when they go to Athens.
Yeah.
It won't be such a powder keg
That's
to try
true.
to beat an unbeaten team.
And there's pressure on them. Any other league, or if you're in a Power 4 league and you're undefeated, there's no pressure. You're going to the tournament anyway.
Sure.
So I feel bad because I think it took them too long to get ranked. I think they should have been ranked before this.
Yeah.
But you know the drill in college basketball.
The knock always is, well, who have they played? Man,
MAC.
it's basketball. It's hard to win.
Every night.
Yeah.
Every night, man.
Hard to win.
Yep.
Let's move on to some of the other men's college basketball teams here of local interest. So you got UK, Ohio State, West Virginia, Ohio. Lenardi has UK and Ohio State making the tournament as of this week. Of course, it's just a projection, so some people might say, well, who cares? There's still a month left to play. So you could play your way in, you could play your way out. He does have WVU not even really on the bubble, just straight up missing out. Just based on our notes, what jumps out at you about some of these teams?
Well, it looks like to me Kentucky is kind of hitting its stride a little bit. They've won 6 of their last 7, and that Arkansas win was huge. They withstood a 38-second period where they had 3 technical fouls.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was crazy, wasn't it?
Coach Pope said, I guarantee it's the first time in NCAA history that's ever happened.
He was laughing about it after the game.
He was. But he appreciated the fight of his team and didn't really want to get on the guys for, make sure you don't make dumb technicals. And nobody wants a technical. You're giving away free points. But he was glad that the fight was there and the heart was there. And they go down in Fayetteville. They were ranked, Arkansas, and against your former coach. That was a big win for Kentucky. I think it could have been a season-defining kind of win. And they've been on a run, except for that blowout at Vandy.
The Vanderbilt loss wasn't pretty.
No, they've been really good.
And Vanderbilt, they added insult to injury. They had the caption on their tweet. You know how each team, when they win a game, they put a graphic out. Yeah. They said, they just tased Ryan. This ball game's over.
Oh.
Anyone who's seen that viral video.
Oh, that's not right. Yeah.
Man, that poor guy down south in Kentucky somewhere.
Yeah.
He's probably a big UK fan, and then that happened to him. That's tough.
Buckeyes are 14-7.
They are.
Yeah. So that's a tough league. Obviously, just lost to Wisconsin. They play at Maryland, and Maryland has not been good this year. And then they play, that team up north later on this week. So
Michigan's real good.
Oh
too.
my gosh, they've been lights out. So they've got some program-defining numbers coming into here too with these next few games. Michigan, Virginia 17th, Michigan State 7, Purdue's 12th. So they can only blame themselves. You can go in there and win a few of those games, move a little bit higher up on the Lenardi list if you want.
Yeah, they got to at least win one of those, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't say where all those games are, but those are a couple games that when they're good, they can play with anybody in that league.
I should have put where those games. Of course, they've already played Michigan at Michigan,
Yeah,
so they get Michigan at home on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of these, I'd have to look and see where they're at. But I mean, they've certainly got the resume builders there, but you got to win a couple of them.
Yeah, Mountaineers not out of it by any stretch. That Baylor loss didn't help them. Baylor was having a tough year in the Big 12, but then watching Baylor, I realized they're good. The Big 12 is crazy good.
It's a great basketball conference.
I mean, every week I do the AP Top 25, and there's 6 or 7 teams in the Top 25. I mean, Kansas just beat last night.
Oh my goodness,
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech
Beat Texas Tech at Texas Tech. and Kansas has been on a tear. West Virginia beat Kansas. You got Iowa State. You got Texas Tech they'll see on Saturday in Morgantown. That's a huge game. Now, they always play well at home. Their first loss at home was to Baylor. Mm-hmm. So if they were able to pull that upset, they'd go right back on the bubble or in the watch on the Joey Lunardi list. But they also have BYU at home later on too. So they've got a chance for big wins. But that's again, that league is just brutal. They get Cincinnati. They will have already played by the time we're talking about Thursday. No, they play Thursday night at Cincinnati, and then Sunday against Texas Tech. So got a couple of chances here to get a couple of wins and move right back in it.
Coach Hodge, after the game, felt like, or he mentioned he feels like it's becoming a trend that they don't play defense as well as they should early in games. Then you're trying to fight and claw your way back and working against a deficit as opposed to, trying to build on a lead. And you can't make that a habit.
And they had trouble scoring down the stretch. I mean, for the longest time I was watching the game, it was 49-44, and the announcers joked, this might be the final score. Neither team could score at that point. And they're one of their struggles at times if Honor Huff's not on and they're blanketing him, which everybody's paying attention to him because he can shoot it from anywhere. Then sometimes it's hard for them to find a guy who can go get them a bucket off the bounce. Eagle staff's been good lately too, but they need a little more offense down the stretch, and they understand that. But they've got some opportunities ahead for sure.
I think they only scored 2 points in the final 2 minutes against Baylor, and it was at the very last second of that game. So you can't have your offense shut down all of a sudden when you're in a game and you need somebody to make some buckets.
Well, and all you need is to get a couple buckets. That crowd will erupt. It was a great crowd, and it's home court. You got to use them as emotion, and then take it away from the other team.
Yeah. For the Bobcats, I think the last time we talked about the Bobcats on here, they were hot. They were winning a bunch of games in a row after losing a bunch to start the season, and they've kind of averaged out here. They've only won 2 of their last 6, so. Things aren't great in Athens at the moment. No. It's certainly been worse. However, as we kind of mentioned earlier, they do have Miami twice.
Yeah,
they still left, and people in Athens are already circling that last one at the Convo there.
It doesn't matter if they were 0-26 and the Red Hawks come to the Convo. Man, what an atmosphere that'll be, and that rivalry in any sport is fun. So in basketball, especially with what Miami's doing this year, it's even more fun.
No doubt. Let's talk some Major League Baseball. At least we'll talk about the Reds. The Reds lacked a power bat
last
year.
Big pickup, huh? Yeah.
And so they've picked up a guy, I would consider him a fan favorite, Eugenio Suarez.
Yes.
He's going to be back at Great American Ballpark. He hit 49 home runs last year.
Yeah, with 2 teams.
GABP is a hitter's ballpark, so you would like to think, man, if we can get 35 homers out of this guy, it'll be worth the $15 million we're paying him for this year.
Well, they needed some more power, and I think he had other options, and he wanted to come back to Cincinnati, which says a lot about Cincinnati and Suarez. I think he had 189 home runs, if I'm correct, when he was in Cincinnati.
2015 to 2021, 189 home runs.
Yeah, a couple of years. One of those years he had 49, just like he had last year. Mm-hmm. If he has one of those years, he can do some damage. He'll be the DH too, right? So.
Yeah, because they've got Key Brian Hayes at third, and so you can't. He's a Gold Glover. You can't take him out of the infield.
So you can still have the good defense, and then you add a bat to the lineup. Which Suarez, he's going to hit the ball. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I saw a stat, and I can't remember the exact number, but he's hit like 30-plus home runs in almost, I don't know, like 7 straight seasons or something. The most a Red hit last year was just 22, and that was De La Cruz. It's not like he's a power hitter. No, he can hit it a mile.
Yeah, you can't count on him.
That's not really his thing.
No, and the thing about Suarez is the few times where he hasn't hit 30, he was hurt or didn't play a bunch of games. So when he's getting those at-bats, then he's putting up numbers. So I think that'll be a big help in the middle of the lineup for them.
Also, just like a guy that wants to play in Cincinnati. When they traded him years ago, I can remember that interview. He was teary-eyed, man. He didn't want to go, but it's the business of it. And he had even said back then, he's like, maybe I'll finish here.
Yeah, and here he is. I mean, watching Votto and in this day and time where the Reds don't have they either don't have the money or don't want to spend the money like the Dodgers are spending, and some of the other big name programs, franchises. But if you got a guy who wants to come and you can pay him and he's good, I mean, you have to reward the fans, which the Reds have to do, right? These teams that it's been 1990 since they've won a World Series. Yeah. So bring back some guys the fans love, and make a run at it and see what you can do. But I think why not? Make it more enjoyable for the fans and help yourself in the process.
They tried to go after Schwarber, and, of course, they got outbid there. And that was, I think, kind of the same line of thinking of power bat, guy's going to hit some home runs.
Yeah.
I'll take Eugenio Suarez for $15 million, man. That feels like a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And a guy that Reds fans, even at the trade deadline this past season, people were throwing his name out there, like, go get Gino, go get Gino.
Well, if you can't get Schwarber, then Gino's.
We'll take it.
That's a nice substitute.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, I asked you before we started this if we could say these two words, the game that the Patriots and Seahawks are playing.
Super Bowl?
I'll let you say it.
I just said it.
All right,
I'm
so
sorry.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we have it on NBC this
People can watch it on WSAZ.
WSAZ.
So I feel like we should talk about it.
Super Bowl 60, by the way. Wow.
That doesn't feel right, does it?
It's a lot.
Super Bowl 60.
Huh.
LX.
Patriots and the Seahawks. Kind of an intriguing matchup.
We've seen it before.
We have in a different
Different era of time.
different era, different final play, different play call at the goal line, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like Seattle in this. I do.
I mean, Seattle seems to be the better team on paper.
Yeah, but Drake May's been a great story for the Patriots. What a story for him to come out there and lead them. And the Patriots had a great turnaround. Now, a lot of people say they had an easier schedule. I don't know. Man, you play who's on the schedule. You can do that strength of schedule thing all you want. Mm-hmm. But they got here. And some former Buckeyes. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba has been about as good as any receiver in the NFL, especially the last half of the season. Travion Henderson of New England, and Munford with New England. Mike Vrabel, how about what he's done?
If you're a Titans fan, how do you feel right now?
Oh, I mean, maybe how the Bills will feel after whatever McDermott goes. I don't know, man. When these guys win like that, I don't know what they're doing. I get to meet Coach Vrabel. He was with Mike Bartram here at a camp over at Marshall one day, and he just an engaging guy, and you can tell the players love him. He sits there in the tunnel and welcomes every player as they come off the field. I mean, that's a player's coach, and you can tell watching him, and just the enthusiasm and the fire and the fact that he's done it numerous times. Man, good for him.
Mike Vrabel, I believe, is a Walsh Jesuit high school graduate. I have a cousin that coaches football up there.
Really?
So Vrabel's kind of like their
got a big
guy.
picture up there, doesn't he? I bet.
He's a big deal up that way.
Yeah.
So
make him come back and buy him a new gym or something, right?
But the first thing I did when we saw the AFC and NFC championship results was I was like, oh, we got any Marshall players on either roster? And usually there is one or two sprinkled in there somewhere, but not even WVU or Kentucky, I believe.
No.
Or Ohio. It's just a few OSU guys.
A few Buckeyes, yeah. Which only goes to show you have to appreciate when you get there. It's not easy to get there to that game. A lot of people think so. Many players go their whole careers and never played in a Super Bowl.
Travion Henderson goes from playing in a national championship game to playing in a Super Bowl in, a little more than 365 days. I'm sure he's one that's not taking that for granted because this might be your shot.
And every player who's been there before will tell all those players that. Say, hey, don't you just assume you're going to make it here because you came here once. Yeah. Even Drake May, as young as he is, you just can't. I mean, it's I was talking to Chad Pennington the other day, and we were just talking about how hard it is to win in that league. And it was a great stat. When he was with the Jets, he won a divisional title. Won one with Miami. Neither franchise has won one since. 2002, 2008.
Wow.
And I said, that's something to hang your hat on because it's hard to win a divisional title, and then it's hard to get to the Super Bowl even harder. So at that level, to win and get to that ultimate weekend is pretty cool.
I don't know what it's like to be a player when you're in those moments and in the middle of those accomplishments, but I know as a fan, your team wins a division, they win a championship, a conference championship, and you kind of think like, this is the new norm or something. Or like, oh, we can do it again next year. And you might have a chance next year, but then that year comes and goes and you don't meet that mark, and now a decade goes by.
Yeah.
15 years goes by. You don't respawn right back there at your last accomplishment. You have to work your way back up towards it, and it's just as hard, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of things have to break right, no injuries and things like that. And just because you have a great team and a great coach and a great franchise doesn't mean you're going to make it there. So I think they'll all will savor the moment. I hope they do. It's become an American spectacle after all these years. It's great.
And speaking of working hard for something that takes time to get there, how about the Winter Olympics, also on WSAZ,
Yes.
really over the next, 3 weeks?
Starts Friday.
Opening
night.
ceremony's Friday, and I think it goes through February 22nd.
I love the Winter Olympics.
I think it's pretty cool, man. I remember watching like Apollo Anton Ono back in the day do his thing, and
They go to all these cool towns all across the
yeah.
world in the winter. It's awesome. Got Lindsey Vonn announcing before we came up here that she's going to go ahead and ski with a ruptured ACL.
isn't that amazing?
Man,
Imagine if she's able to just, I would say get out of it without hurting yourself even more is an accomplishment. Imagine if she were to medal.
man, talk about she won a World Cup downhill earlier this year, which kind of gave her the oomph at 41 years old to go do this again.
Like the comeback athlete of the year
incredible.
already,
I tore an ACL, and shoot.
It's no joke.
See what she's doing? That's crazy.
Yeah, you like to think you need some good knees to do what she's doing. That's, come on.
Right, going up and down.
Right, that's got to hurt,
It's
man.
nuts. It's nuts. And then so many great storylines. You got the ice hockey, and I guess the USA team is strong again this year, but it's been a while since they've won. 1980.
Yeah, I don't claim to be a big hockey guy, except when we put the stars and stripes on. And that's when I'm like, okay, let's, invoke the magic of Herb Brooks and Jim Craig and Mike Eruzione. Eruzione has been on kind of like a podcast tour this last week promoting the documentary and also talking about the Olympics. And he told somebody on the air, I think this is the best team that the United States has ever put on the ice.
Oh, that's really cool.
It doesn't mean they're better than Canada, though, so it's going to be a battle.
Oh, Canada. But you're watching, the greatest players in the world. Didn't used to be like that, because back when Eruzione and the Lake Placid boys won, they were just right out of college, most of them, playing these vaunted Russians who were 30 years old, and that's why it's the greatest upset in sports history. I had the chance to watch that documentary over the weekend. It is fabulous. I would highly recommend it. And I unlike you, was alive for that game, and man, it galvanized the entire country. Just watching this group of kids come from all over the place, and Herb Brooks doing his prestidigitation to get these guys to win a gold medal. It was a crazy time, and that documentary, if you have time, it is worth 2 hours of your day.
I intend to watch it tonight. I can't wait.
I'm ate up with it. You give me your review afterwards.
I will.
Yeah, it's so many great storylines, and just the whole Lake Placid experience, and it's just along with, I don't know, name some of your great upsets. Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson.
Probably that's got to be up there.
Yeah, but this was Joe Namath, the beating Johnny Unitas and those guys in the Super Bowl '69. It's just one of those stories that just gets more attention kind of as the years go on.
The lore and the legend builds.
Yeah, can
really
you imagine being on that team and just living that the rest of your life?
Cool. I read Mike Eruzione's book within the last year, and he talks in there about how shortly after the '80 Olympics, he decides basically to hang it up. That was his last professional. It wasn't a professional game, but that was his last hockey game ever. So he retires, and he's like, okay. All of a sudden, there's this interest. People are hitting me up. They want me to talk about it, and so he starts making money talking about it. Right? He's a motivational speaker, a public speaker, because of his status as the captain of that team that won gold, and of course having the game-winning goal against the Soviets. And he thought that was going to be temporary. That like at some point the interest would run out and he would have to go get a real job. And he's like, dude, it's never went away. People are still hitting me up. They want to talk about it. I tell the same stories every single day, and people still want to hear it. Yeah. And that's like such a timeless, not even a sports moment, but just like American moment, period,
It just shows you how much people put into this. And, the Olympics to me is one of those things, kind of like the Masters, kind of like, I don't know, you could say Ohio State, Michigan, Duke, North Carolina basketball. It kind of always delivers. There's always a great story. And when you get stamped with Olympic fame, Mary Lou Retton, or name your great Carl Lewis, Usain Bolt, name your great athletes. Leanne Parsley from Marshall in Ohio and Granville wins the silver back in her day at Salt Lake City. I mean, that moment is stuck with you forever, and that's a good thing. I mean, if that's how you're defined, I mean, obviously you want to be defined as a good person and a person that has a great relationship with your community and family and friends and faith and all that. But man, that is cool to have that just attached to you the rest of your life, that you won Olympic gold.
Yeah. Is that team the most beloved American sports team that you can think of?
Wow, I think they have to be, because everybody else is,
Athletes can be very polarizing for sports reasons, for non-sports reasons,
Yeah.
and it feels like that group. Like, have you ever heard anyone like try to discredit it,
No.
or be like, "Oh yeah, that Herb Brooks was a bad guy," or
Yeah.
something? I
Because
feel like everyone's just on board with those guys.
As Tony Cavalier and I were talking, he's a huge hockey fan. He remembers vividly, a lot of those guys came from rival schools in college. They hated each other.
Boston and Minnesota dudes were not getting along.
He had to bring them in
No.
and say, hey, you fight now, let's get it over with, and then we're going to be teammates. So, just his whole philosophy. But I think because now we're in this age with professionals, even playing hockey now in the Olympics, right? They're still the greatest in the world, but they're pros, right? This was a college team. These were amateur kids. These were, just out of college, and there was just this fascination with that, because now we got NIL and we're paying everybody. They seem, just to do it, to get together for the love of the game, and have this moment in time it's just a really cool story. You can't overstate how neat it is to me.
And they were, I would imagine, they still feel this way, even though I wasn't alive when they did what they did, but very relatable dudes because of their amateur status and the fact that they were just young college kids. The modern-day athlete has very little in common with me, or even just a kid in general, right? Like, I love LeBron James. Not a whole lot in common between me and LeBron.
Yeah.
He's living a different lifestyle.
Yep.
And so I can imagine somebody looking at Jack O'Callahan and being like, "That's just some guy from Boston
That's
that
the
likes
dude
to
I'd
play
like to hang
hockey."
out with.
Like,
Yep.
I can see why people resonated with that group.
Yeah, and I'll take it a step further, and that's hockey to some degree. I mean, hockey players are a different breed. They seem to be sincere. They're real. Not a lot of pomp and circumstance with them. Those guys pretty much tell you what they feel like, and if they don't like you, they'll tell you, and then fight on the ice right after that. There's something about that sport that you just appreciate the realness of it, and I think that certainly shone through with that 1980 team.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if this American squad can pull off, somewhat of an upset themselves if they indeed do run into Canada at some point and there's a medal on the line, because, like I said, by my math, the United States has only won gold twice, 60 and 80. And I think that 60 team, isn't that the one Brooks was left off of?
Squaw Valley, I believe.
He was the last guy cut, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it was so hard for him to be the coach in 80, because he's like, I got to cut. It was Ralph Cox.
And he remembered that, and that's part of the story. But
yeah.
I mean, no matter what it is, biathlon or mogul races, moguls, or downhill, or ski jumping, or name your winter sport. It's just a cool vibe, I think, and that's why the Olympics. I always tell people some people had gotten away from it. Oh, the Olympics aren't what they used to be. I disagree. I think they are, and I think the fact that they split them up and they're every, summer comes 2 years, 2 years later winter, and back and forth. They used to have them the same year, which is a lot of Olympics, but. I just feel like it always delivers.
I mean, it's the same events, really, with the same rules for the most part. Now, I know they've added some things over the years, but it's kind of the same thing it's always been.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much you against the mountain on most of the things. Yeah.
Have they announced over in Italy it's probably the best kept secret in the world, right? Who's going to light the cauldron over there?
I'm sure they always keep that secret. I mean, I'm still waiting for somebody to surpass the Barcelona Archer, which is my favorite of all time.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Well, the Miracle team in 2002 was pretty cool.
Yeah.
When the Eruzione came out, he brought everybody else out, just like they did on
Muhammad Ali was cool in Atlanta.
Ali was cool.
Yeah. I mean, but that's for a physical and an aesthetic look at it. The Archer was my fave.
I'm sure the wheels are turning about LA 2028. Yeah. That's coming.
Uh-oh.
A lot of polarizing American athletes.
Yeah.
which route do you go?
That's true. That's true. We need to come together.
I could have a whole conversation about why I think it should be Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
Ooh.
Bury the hatchet, bring the fan bases together, light the cauldron. But I think some egos would get in the way.
Maybe an alley-oop into the cauldron.
Could you imagine?
Who knows?
Dream team, guys. I mean, I don't know. It would be cool.
Let's see.
All right, our last bit. And, Keith, we've never talked about the professional climbing world before.
No.
But I wanted to put this in here because it is so interesting. And I bet you a lot of our viewers, whether you like sports or not, were flipping through Netflix at some point this past weekend and were like, wait, this guy's climbing this building? Alex Honnold, with no safety equipment,
That's just silly.
climbed a 1,600-foot tall building, Taipei 101, live on Netflix.
11th tallest
Insane.
building in the world.
Correct.
I'm flabbergasted. I don't know where these people, where they get this thing in their heads that they can do it and take on the challenge. That's just not part of my DNA. But he only got paid $500,000. Don't you think he should have gotten more than that?
Well, I guess.
How about $1 million a floor?
It feels low, right? But
yeah.
I guess you could also say, is there money attached to the amount of risk that you decide to take on
Well,
for
it's
yourself?
on Netflix, so they made some money. I'm not worried about Netflix.
And you know that like North Face and all these other, they're probably paying him pretty well.
Well, and he's made a name for himself, so he'll do just fine. But that's just incredible. I heard some people criticizing the Netflix people because the announcers were talking too much. When someone's doing something like that, death-defying, if you will, just let him go.
What do you do?
I mean, I don't know. You just watch, listen to the wind blow. I don't know. It's kind of a, I don't know. You know, in a world where announcers, we all talk a little bit too much. Maybe just let that breathe a little bit.
I think at least for Seth Rollins, which, you know, he's a TV character. He's not necessarily what you do for a living, but, you know, they get Seth Rollins on there as kind of the average man watching this kind of guy and an entertaining figure. And I'm not sure if he knew what to expect because Honnold gets about 30 feet up on the building and he's already flabbergasted. Like, this is crazy. He's already so high and he's not even close to the top of the building. And then an hour and a half later, he's standing on top of the antenna looking down over everybody.
Think about how do you do that the first time? When does that ever happen? Like I used to watch, you see the Wide World of Sports Open way back in the day when the guy crashes on the ski jump. Like when do you do that for the first time?
I don't know.
And say, oh, this is how I finish. Okay, here's how I land.
Have you seen the previous documentary that came out about him free soloing the big rock wall in Yosemite?
I've only seen a little bit of video of it.
So I watched that when it came out. That's like 2018. He went up what's basically a vertical granite rock wall in Yosemite National Park. They call it El Cap, and it's twice as tall as this building.
Yeah.
And it's a much harder climb because it's a rock. So there's different, like it's not the same moves over and over again like the building is. And so with something like that, he could practice that with safety equipment and figure it all out. Okay, I need to do this at this point and kind of rehearse it, memorize all the moves. With this building, I know he trained for it. He worked out for it. You know, the specific holds he was going to have to use to get up the building. He trained all those muscle groups and those things. But the question I have is, did they let him scale that thing with equipment a couple times before, or was that truly figure it out, Alex? You know?
I'm not sure. I doubt they just let him on a regular Monday through Friday business day just go scale the building. Maybe he did.
I think it truly was his first time going up the building.
Yeah. The strength that takes is indescribable. Like I don't even know how you compare it to anything else. With your, just your body.
Yeah.
The core strength, the hand strength, the foot, the whole thing. The mental strength is. It's way beyond my comprehension.
He's a very interesting dude if you listen to him talk.
Yeah.
The way he views the world, his risk assessment. He's like, I don't really worry about the consequence of me falling because that doesn't change. He's like, I really focus on how much risk of me falling there actually is.
Yeah. You have to be wired differently. Like those guys that, surf the North Shore. I mean, you just had to completely be wired differently to do something like that.
I would highly recommend, because it's on Netflix too.
It's pretty cool.
Just go watch Free Solo. That's when he goes up the rock wall in Yosemite with no equipment. In that documentary, they describe it as a gold medal Olympic caliber feat. But the consequence of, having a silver performance would get you killed.
Yeah,
that's how they describe it.
You're gone. Yep, you're gone.
So I'm sure a lot of
Kudos to
people
him.
watched that and their hands were sweaty.
They
Mine
can,
were.
they can watch that, and then they can watch Lake Placid.
Yep. I'm going to be watching the documentary
All right, let
tonight.
me know what you think.
And I'm going to put my Eruzione jersey on. I ordered one
Oh, you got one?
because I wanted something to wear for the Olympics.
Oh, that's kind of cool. You have to bring it in. Bring it into the
I'll bring it in tomorrow.
next week.
I'll let
Yeah.
you see it. I got it for $40 off Amazon.
Maybe you could wear it on this thing.
I will.
Okay.
If they'll let us do it during the Olympics.
Who?
I could email Mike and see if he wants to join us.
Yeah.
I'm sure no one's asking him to talk
Oh,
these
he's
next
not,
3
he's not
weeks.
busy at all.
Yeah, actually, he's going to be there because I've been keeping up with my man Mike.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
all right, Keith, appreciate you
Hey, thanks for
talking
your
rock
time.
climbing and stuff with
Yes.
me. So that was fun.
Yeah, we got to change it up sometimes. And not always just about a ball and a stick and
You know,
a bat.
sometimes it's just about what
The
some would call a crazy guy going up a building. You know?
capabilities of the human psyche.
Some say it's inspiring. Some say it just makes them want to turn it off.
Well,
I was inspired.
yeah, you don't want to watch. It's like it's like a car wreck. You turn away from it, but
Kinda-
it's always nice when they make it.
Yep.
Which you did.
All right, man, I'll let you get
All
downstairs.
right, be good.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the viewers, the loyal viewers of WSAZ Sports Plus for listening to this episode. We went a couple places we've never been before. Rock climbing, of course, one of them. Winter sports, another. Because it's not like this area is a big winter sports area. I know we got some ice rinks around here. People know how to skate, but maybe I'm selling the short. I know we've got some ski resorts in West Virginia as well, and people do some things like that. But by and large, it's not like we've got high schools with hockey or things of that nature. But we went that way on this episode, so we certainly appreciate it. Keith and I would imagine, we'll be up here again next week, and we'll have an episode for you talking about whatever it is we talk about, Marshall basketball and such. I want to remind you that these episodes are always on the WSAZ Plus app. If you go to the WSAZ Sports tab, WSAZ Sports Plus tab after that, you're going to see this episode and every single episode that we have ever recorded. Working on getting some guests in here. Don't want to write a check that I'm not sure if I can cash just yet, but we've got some people that are interested in jumping on, and we're going to try to figure out a time to get them on here. And when we do, we'll let you know when those episodes air, kind of outside our normal time that we usually do. So, appreciate you all listening to me and Keith talk about everything under the sun. My name is Joseph Payton. This has been WSAZ Sports Plus. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching.